Alrighty. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you find yourself today. I believe it's a beautiful day wherever you are. And once more, we are going to talk about Ghana and Africa. As you all know, that's our agenda, that is our purpose, that is our mission, our vision is to contribute our quota to the development of Africa and the world at large. So that is why we, excuse me, we meet here every Saturday around this time to Georgia to discuss, learn. And again, as I always say on this platform, we discuss, we learn, we exchange ideas and opinions, we dissect opinions and come up with the best solution to issues. We try to suggest or contribute a few of our solutions to the development of our world. So if you are here on this platform, we are privileged to have you here. And we believe that together we'll be able to make sense and meaning of life, leadership, and improve our lives and improve our communities as well. Once again, we're going to continue the discussion we started a couple of weeks ago. We talking about current issues in Ghana, which most of the time it's not only Ghana. We know that Ghana is a microcosm of the African continent at large. So um, most of the things are happening in one part of Africa seem to be happening in the rest of Africa. It might be taking a different dimension, different shape, but the fundamentals are all the same. And so that is why we address issues in Ghana, but we want to believe that it's reaching the African continent where we all learn and make sure we correct and do the right thing. We are talking about public lynching, or what some people will call instant justice. That's what we've been talking about for the past few weeks now. But before we go on to the topic, I just want to, as usual, state that on this platform, we don't entertain insults. Because like I said earlier on this platform, we are looking for solutions, and insults does not produce solutions. Insult incites anger and emotions. It inflames emotions and it destroys everything. So we don't entertain insults on this platform. However, we entertain divergence opinions. If you have a different opinion, if you don't seem to agree with us on something, you can table your opinion and we would dissect and dismember the issue, and then we would come up with an amicable solution where we both parties will learn on both sides. With that being said, I want to finally say, as always, creativity and inventions are not by the color of one's skin, but by an educated mind. Creativity and inventions are not by the color of one's skin, but by an educated mind. So, as I said earlier on, we're going to be continuing with the instant justice, or the public lynching, as some may call it, happening in Ghana. We've realized that it's taken um, a couple of innocent lives. We cited an example of it being, I believe, the military guy, Major or something. I believe it's Major Mahama. the military guy. Even before him, we've had series of such incidents. And like I expressed the other time, looking at the magnitude of the problem, losing innocent lives, and it's it's worrying to realize that nobody is making an effort to educate the public, or nobody is passionate about throwing light on some of these things to make sure that these are corrected and it does not keep happening and happening. When it happens, people will make a lot of noise about it and then it dies out. And even the noise is just accusations. We're not even talking about educating people. We're not even talking about bringing the right people to speak on the issues. So we want to push that frontier and make sure that this narrative goes on, and we would have this discussion even in the schools, in the public arenas, in places where people gather, so we would be able to educate ourselves and equip ourselves with the knowledge we need to handle such situations. So basically today we are going to continue that discussion. And before we start, I would want my co-pilot to introduce himself. I like the style he's wearing lately, man. It's dope, bro. It's dope.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mhm. Well, my name is Kojoy Wafam, and as usual, we are here to judge how to make our continent a better place so that our young people don't continue to flee like we did. And a little goes a long way when people's minds get educated because that's where all the good things start coming from. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. So, like I said the other time, we are still talking about the solutions, how we can solve these issues. The other time, Miss Margaret spoke about, um, I believe, TV shows in Ghana where before we used to have the DIZ and all those theaters, um, and the programs to educate the masses on some of these issues. One of the things I also feel or believe that we can do to help is to put up billboards. Because the last time, man, I saw the billboards in Accra. Oh, gee, it is. All right, I reserve that comment. But we have billboards all over the place, and I believe that one of the things we can also do is to add some of these things, this awareness or this campaign against public lynching, to the billboards, the numerous billboards we have in the cities to educate the people. We also, and most of the billboards lately, we have electronic billboards where we can um have some NGOs and some meaningful and some developmental benevolent organizations within our communities help put up some of these billboards to educate people or to remind people. Sometimes we need constant reminders. I was talking to my kids the other time. We were talking about law, the fact that everything in this life operates on laws. And sometimes the cops, when you hit the road driving, the cops would be in the visible just to remind you, even though they have the speed limit set, put on the signs, the speed limit signs on the roads to remind you that this is how fast you can go on this road. But then the cop will also be sitting in an open space, in a visible space, to remind you that I am here to administer the consequence of your misconduct. So constant reminders would help. I believe that if we have some of these billboards around and some of these kids or these people decide to jump on somebody and they see the billboard, they'll be like, oh, okay. Um, I guess we need to do the right thing. So I believe that the billboards would also be a major way of informing the people, empowering the people, reminding the people of their rights and their responsibilities. And as far as this instant justice and public lynchings are concerned, one of the things I also believe we can do is the churches, the mosque, the uh, all those places of worship. I mean, some of these preachers can make it a responsibility to educate the the church members or the worshipers within the various religious and spiritual sects to be able to educate them and understand their roles, their responsibilities, and how valuable human life is. And I believe that if we can nail this um, concept of the value of the human life, it should come from the spiritual or the worship centers. They can explain it better and they can give a better meaning to the value of human life to their worshipers. So I believe that if we can use those places of worship as means of educating and empowering and making people understand how important they have to preserve and protect the laws of the land, it will go a long way to help us. Prof,
Yeah,
your 2 cents.
I was actually touched by you talking about Sofadazi and the billboards, and I want to expand on those, even though you didn't want to expand on those. The last time we were having this conversation, I remember the Reverend Minister was talking about the lack of resources for education. And I also remember saying that it is not really a lack of resources, but more so a lack of priorities. It is not an issue of a lack of resources. I don't believe that funding the organization that is supposed to go out there and educate the people on our civic responsibility actually lack resources. If we believe their job is very, very essential to the kind of society that we are trying to build. Let me talk about Osofudasi. Growing up, and I have also to give props to the Reverend Minister again for talking about the lack of upbringing within the cultural and parental setting that we find ourselves in. Growing up, we used to say that it takes a village to raise a kid, and that if any child within the society is going astray, it didn't take the biological parents to correct that child. You know, any elder within the community was tasked explicitly, not even implicitly, with the responsibility of raising the kids within the society. And we need to go back to that concept. I mean, we've moved away from what I call the passenger house to uh, the the nuclear family unit housing and all that. But we've got our churches, we've got our schools, we've got other social settings in which we will be able to teach these kids coming up, even if the organization specifically tasked with educating people on civic responsibility is not funded. That's number one. Number two, the TV shows that are playing in Ghana, Nana, you will be shocked. You will be shocked. The most popular TV shows, they are either from India or from some Spanish speaking country, and then they sort of interpret it in Chi or sub title it in English so that the people understand. And then they make groups and TV journalists go into the markets and discuss these TV shows as if they are culturally relevant. They are not even cultural. And you will be shocked when they go into the markets, the amount of enthusiasm and the amount of popularity that our Ghanaian women and men and all cross sections of our society, these shows have become the like they have become so significant that a certain group of actors for one of these soap operas called Kunkumbagia, they came to Ghana and Ghanaians paid to go see them. I was so angry. And when I start talking about it, people don't even understand what I was saying. Oh, it's just a show. No, it is not just a show. I look at the underwritings and the issues that are the bedrock of each society that this society puts into their cultural or uh, videos whilst they are doing it so that they are educating us about their society. It is never about us. If we are not, I would take one from Nigeria or from Sierra Leone or from any other African country as against one coming from India because the sort of cultural references they are making, the sort of taboos or the do's and don'ts that are within their soap operas, they don't operate where we come from. But we are forgetting that this is what our kids are watching. And over time, their cultural beliefs and their systems are going to be imbued or it will be put into. And we have companies that are actually sponsoring these programs. And these same companies are not sponsoring the Obra and the Osofudazis that you think we don't have enough actors to start putting things together in our country. We do. But just like everything else, we are important. We are important. So how come we don't have money to support our own, to educate our own on our culture and on our civic responsibility? But every time you put on your TV in Ghana with this multitude of news stations and whatever, every single one of them is showing foreign movies, foreign everything that has no relevance to what we are. And we don't think that in 40 years' time, the sort of ethical and religious and cultural uh, inclinations that me and you, our generations, and the generations before us do have, is it not going to be wiped away? I had this conversation with one of my cousins, and he couldn't understand why this was so important to me. And I was like, look at all these Indian soap operas and dramas that are on our TV shows. Look at all the Spanish speaking things from Brazil and Mexico and all that you are watching. You have not been paying attention to anything within it. He said, no, I mean, they are just shows. I was like, next time you sit behind any of these Indian, specifically Indian programs, watch the actors. You can see that the most important actors within all these programs, they are white skinned, they are Caucasian. When they need a watchman, when they need a porter, when they need somebody that is not really relevant in their society, look at the kind of people they go to. They are black. You have not paid us. And he was shocked. I said, yes. Where they come from culturally, people of our skin tone, they are subservient to people of Caucasian origin. If you have not been paying attention, pay attention to that. And the insult that I felt that these are the programs that our big companies are sponsoring. Plus, the way we behave in public in Ghana, even for married couples, like kissing in public and those kind of things, and some of the allowable things that other societies are allowed to do that we as Ghanaians frown upon, they are showing it on TV to our kids and they are normalizing it. But then we don't have money to sponsor our own people. We don't have money to make culturally relevant soap operas for our own people to educate our people. And then we go into the markets and discuss other people's culture and their ways of life. People don't pay attention, but we are culturally desensitizing our people to some of these things. And the billboards. Somebody dies, and we have enough money to put up huge billboards. When it is a political season, you will be shocked by the amount of money that we put as a nation, as political parties, as individuals into these billboards. And you are telling me we don't have enough money to educate our people on the most pertinent issues that we cry and complain about. So, Nana, I don't think it is an issue of not having enough resources. It is an issue of priority. Is it a priority for our society that the up and coming young men and women should understand that you cannot take the law into your own hands? Is it a priority for us? Issues of corruption, issues of galamsey, social issues that are bedeviling our societies. Are they a priority for us? That is my question. And remember, the society we live in tomorrow is the society we build today. So, what kinds of society are we building? What kind of society do we want to live in? So, unless we start having those conversations at the highest of our societal ladder, these things will not change. It is the same issue with our agriculture. We are importing everything, even though we can grow them. We are more interested in importing them than growing them. And that's exactly what we are doing to our social structure. We are importing them. And so now, Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Togo, La Cote d'Ivoire, it's a totally different society than what we know. Ghanaian parents take a lot of pride in their children speaking a foreign language rather than their own language. And there are certain things you can never explain in a foreign language because the context, the culture, the words that we use can never be translated. And when you ask them why you have a child born in Ghana, living in Accra, does not speak Ghana, does not speak Twi, does not speak Hausa, does not speak any Ghanaian language, but can speak French and English, and you are proud of it, they will not be able to explain it to you. And at the end of the day, we've been colonized in our minds. So we really want to get to the bottom of this. Let's look at our non-educational systems that allow these things to continue. And whenever an issue crops up, we talk about it for a day or two and it naturally dies. You see, it could be the cacophony of scandals that keep coming each and every day, but there should be dedicated groups of civic organizations that will constantly bring this thing. Like you said, there is speed signs, there are court system and whatnot, but the policeman will come and say, I mean, you have lived here long enough to know that during school season, the lights are on and tells you you can only go 25 miles per hour within a school zone. But every morning, the light comes on and the police is sitting there and he will even greet you to let you know he's watching you. These are constant reminders that even though the light is blinking and saying 25 miles per hour, you go over the speed limits. So unless
And
we
on top
start
of that,
putting,
they even have cameras too. On top of the lights, the police, they also have cameras.
the other day I was shocked to learn that in Maryland, the school buses now have video cameras
Oh yeah.
installed in and outside the school
Mm-hmm.
buses. And it is owned by a private company. And since they did this, incidences on the road have reduced by about 50%. I mean, drivers crossing, even though the school bus stop sign comes out and every vehicle is supposed to stop, some of them don't stop,
Mm-hmm.
even though they know, because there are deviants in every society. But since they installed these cameras and educated the public that if you get caught, your fines are going to be double. They have been catching people, but then the incidences have been dropping. And because of that, other states and other jurisdictions are asking this private company to come into the fray. And for that, I am very glad about that. We need constant reminders and we need people who make these issues their issues, especially the religious organizations and the cultural organizations like the chiefs and and their elders and the gong beaters of our society, those who when they speak, people listen, you know, because yeah, we do have leadership structures within our society. If we don't make they don't make themselves relevant today, I'm sure 40, 50 years from now, we will be talking about vestige of our culture because we are being colonized, even culturally. Thank you, Nana.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Yes, you mention of various means of disseminating information, and the people who carry weight and power within our communities. You make mention of the kings. Um, we have community leaders, DCOs, which we mentioned of the other time. One of the things I really want to touch on briefly is when you spoke about the media um, wasting precious time, money, and resources on unnecessary um, TV programs. And again, you said it right when you said what is our priority as a community? What really do we want to see? I believe, and I know the media stations, the TV stations are there to make money, but you can also make money by coming up with intelligent and very productive programs. Those days, GBC used to have a production section where they produce their own TV programs, like the TV shows. I mean, Osofadazi was being produced in the GBC TV
All
studios. That is
studios.
where they were
Yeah.
producing them at, so like you said,
was such a disaster, such a
the
catastrophe that maybe the most disturbing moment of the entire
Sorry
night
about
was
that.
missed
I
by
don't
is
know
it
how
from
to
me?
register. Yeah, it came from me. I don't know where it
Oh,
came
okay. I thought it's from my
from.
end because I have multiple screens here. So
No,
yeah, so
I have to quickly jump on it.
oh, okay. It's important for us to ask ourselves what are our priorities as a nation, as a community. What do we want? Again, that is why the other time I was so hard on the media. It is because now I see the media to be only informing and indoctrinating people and entertaining people. The education bit is out. I don't see the education bit, because if you want to educate people, it means you want to enlighten them, you want to empower them, and you empower them to fulfill the obligations within their communities. So you don't alienate things that will help them, educate them within their rights and responsibilities in the community. You inculcate those things in your programs. So I don't see the education bit in most of the media programs going on in Ghana. It's all about entertainment, indoctrination, and information. And sometimes information can be wrong.
Oh yeah.
So people are being indoctrinated, as you said. They are throwing light on the cultures and the traditions of other nations and other people, but not us. So how do we develop if we don't understand, if we don't understand our culture, if we don't understand our background, if we are not enlightened on the things within our communities that needs our attention? So it is pathetic, and I'm glad you brought up the neo-colonization, which I always tell people Nkrumah foresaw this over 60 years ago. So it's not shocking it's happening, but it's disheartening it's happening, because we've allowed ourselves to let unnecessary money hungry, money chasing people within our communities to influence the direction of our nations, which is sad. I was okay. I'm not going to bring that in here because it's going to sway us from what we are discussing. So I believe that, as you said, the schools, social studies, what are we teaching? What are we teaching in social studies? I'm trying to get the curriculum for social studies in the Ghana schools to see what we're teaching the children.
I'm being told a lot of those things have been cancelled. Even history has been cancelled.
So they don't
I'm
teach
yet.
history.
That's unless you go higher and you pick it up as a specific elective
Jesus
subject.
Christ.
That's what I've been told. I'm yet to actually confirm it,
And they don't
and
teach
I will
social
confirm.
studies.
They teach social studies, but the sort of curriculum that they teach, you will be surprised.
Because the
You will
social
be surprised.
studies should be talking about patriotism. It should be talking about our environment. It should be talking about our culture, the things within our environment. It should be talking about ethics, respect for law and order. It should be talking about some of these things. That is where we can put in some of the issues we're talking about here. Because when the kids are educated on some of these social issues, they can correct the elderly. And as you know, I mean, you've seen the culture within which we live now, where you do something and your son or a kid can tell you, but I thought we're not supposed to do this. They will prompt you.
Because you started teaching them the right
Right.
things.
So I believe that one of the major areas we can make an impact is the schools teaching the kids on some of these values, because they will take it home. Most times when kids go home and they see parents or they see older people doing stuff that they've been told in school are not right, they question. So these are all some of the various ways we can remind ourselves of some of these things. So I believe that the school's curriculum is very important. It needs to be looked at. It has to reflect our communities. The things that we teach the kids would have to reflect in our communities. You know, it's very, very important, because if we don't educate the people, you see the consequences of threatening people that they will get arrested, they will be thrown in jail, they will face the consequences of the law. It's important, but consequences alone does not deter people from doing the wrong thing.
No.
You know, it's the constant education. And I'm glad you made mention of the brain, the constant education, the reminders, which would cause you to think about it. It will sink down your brain. So the education is very, very vital if we are going to combat some of this social ills. And as you said, we have issues like Galamsey. We have so many issues where movie writers, TV producers can come up with very beautiful stories, very crafty stories, educative stories, to be able to inform and educate the people about some of our social settings. And it's unfortunate. The other time I was even talking to somebody about the Ashanti Kingdom, one of the most powerful kingdoms. And yet
Ever
we
to
don't
be
even have
on
a
planet
movie.
Earth.
We don't even have a movie on the Ashanti Kingdom. You know, so it's just we're pleading. We are pleading with people in authority. Let us set our priorities right. And I don't wish evil on anybody, but if we don't take care, some of these ministers' kids could fall victim of some of these social injustices, instant justice, and social public lynchings. You know, probably that's when people are going to wake up, or they're going to see the importance of educating the people.
You see,
But should
Nana,
we get to this level?
that is what surprised me a lot after the military guy was lynched to death. The sort of social uproar that came on the scene. I was expecting, like I was saying the other day, that some law might be named after him, and that a constant reminder of his sacrifice on the altar of ignorance will be made to all of us so that some of these things never happen again. But it died down. This actor that just got lynched to death, I hope, I'm saying actor, the musician, I will be very, very happy if other musicians come up, get together, make a social, educative album on his demise. You know, there was a time when Obrafour will come out with a song that talks about cleanliness, within our society.
Man,
Sarkodie will come up
were you still
bombarding
in a
us.
glance at the notes I made here?
I know,
Because
we've been thinking like this for some time now. So sometimes uh, we are in each other's thoughts as because these are how societies look.
I was
I
waiting for us
will,
to finish with the movies, and then we jump onto music, and
yeah.
you
And
brought it in.
there was this time when I was listening to a professor that teaches us at NYU, and they were writing dissertations on some of their old hip hop songs, the socially conscious uh, 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 rock music and stuff like that. These are things that our people study in schools. It is not just poetry and symphonies and stuff like that. That contemporary music, people write dissertations on
And even talking about hip hop, you know, hip hop started addressing social issues in the Black communities.
Exactly.
you know?
You, and Sarkodie and Manifest came out with a song after they beat up the police killed somebody here, and they were talking about how brutality and stuff. I was expecting that the radio hosts and the journalists and whatnot would dissect some of these songs, some of the very socially conscious songs in our society. I never saw that happen. We always are only looking to outsiders and foreigners for our education. But some of these young men and women within the artists within our society, they are doing such a wonderful job. It is just a focus that needs to be placed on some of these things. Unless you go to the university and you are doing uh, 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 either social sciences or political science, some of these things never come onto your radar, you know. And I remember me and you having this discussion. I told you that I never knew about the fact that the French speaking countries were still paying for colonization enough until I got here. How is it that I go to university in my own country and the issues that are bedeviling us socially, economically, politically, unless I go do political science or social sciences, it never comes on your radar. It never comes on your radar.
Mhm.
So how do we expect
I was talking to somebody about Nkrumah, and the person said, "Oh, I thought he wrote only one book."
a prophet is without honor except in his own home?
You know?
Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart is a set book in US high schools. It is a set book in US high schools. Is it a set book even in Nigeria? I don't think so. I don't think so. The African Writers series is defunct in Ghana, at least. When I went back, I asked people, what books have you read? Nobody is talking about our writers. These people have won Nobel Peace Prizes for literature, and people don't know about them. Wallace Soyinka is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Amata Edu, they don't talk about them. And we have time to import from India? Really? Even if you are importing something, you are supposed to adapt it. You are supposed to adapt it. And in this age of knowledge, in this age of social media, in this age of the internet, what are we importing? Stupid TikTok memes?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it's an issue of priority. It's not an issue of
Definitely.
resources.
Definitely.
I
Not
don't believe
not
that.
not not
I
the
don't believe it is
resources.
an issue of resources.
Yeah.
I still believe it's an issue of priorities. We don't
Mm-hmm.
think it is a priority. That until somebody else die again, well, that's my take on it though.
Yeah.
Until somebody dies again, and that's just not right.
And as you said, an issue of priority. When this gentleman here, when uh was it Trayvon Martin? And some of these police
Yeah,
brutalities are happening here. We saw how musicians were making music and adding their voices to some of these social ills. And again, like I said, I was just waiting for us to finish with the movies and then we jump onto music. I even wrote Sarkodie, Reggie Rockstone, Obrafour, you know, these hip hop icons, because hip hop is really catching up on the youth in
the
Ghana.
Yeah, and on the
So
world stage too.
yeah, if there's hip life artists will come together and make music, make a song that will educate the people, it's gonna go a long way to help. Because it's funny. Recently I saw a friend sent me a video of a reverend minister who was singing somebody's song in church. One of the hip hop artists sung in church, and I think
Yeah,
the reverend minister
King
has been
Paluta Kid
reprimanded, or right, King
reprimanded.
Paluta or something like
Rep-
that. I think he came out with a letter to apologize to the Catholic diocese and what have you. So it tells you the influence these musicians have within our communities. So please, we're calling on Sarkodie. I mean, that's one of the finest rappers Ghana has ever produced to the world. And the grandpapa. I mean, I throw my salute to these people. One of the finest, excellent rappers, grandpapa, the Ghana has produced to the world. We have um whatchamacallit, Obrafo, one of the finest. We have Eno Baroni. I mean, that's my girl, one of the finest. So please, these musicians, please come together, make a song on public lynching and social instant justice to educate the people. Not just that, but some of these social ills going on. We make a song on Galamsey, make a song on, I think I heard a song on Galamsey some time back.
yeah, I
I'm
think
not
I
too
did
sure,
too.
but I think I heard something like that. Please let's take some of these, and the impact is going to be massive if they can come together. When the individual musician does it, it really would not have that much impact, because then it's only those who follow him or her who are going to hear the music. But if you have all these, and we have a lot of what's it called, the reggae guys, dance hall, you know,
Yeah,
we have dance hall, we have Shatawale, we have what's this guy's name? Stone
we have
Boy, we have
yeah,
all these guys, in the system. Please come together, make music, and especially now that it's affected one of your own. A musician was lynched because the public mistook him. I'm not even going to go there, because of folly within our community, and lack of law abiding people within our community. That act of lawlessness within our community is making us lose valuable people, including this musician, ex-military guys. I mean, and some of the people we don't even know because we don't
it
hear
only
of them.
comes, yeah, it only blows up if the person is a person
So
of so, you
please,
know,
these musicians, the hip life musicians, the reggae musicians, the dance hall musicians, please come together. Let's do music. Let's pull our forces together to fight against the ills within our community. Because if the politicians are not going to do it, trust me, the music would have a greater impact. The music will have a greater impact on the people. It'll educate the people. So please let us inculcate some of this social conscious music into our system, and not just all about the love and all those crazy negative stuff. Let us inculcate some of these. There was a discussion I saw on Facebook about gospel music and Christian music, and should it has to do with this priest who was singing the guy's song in church, maybe, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw this discussion about whether it's supposed to be it's a gospel song because it's, then again, we would have to, like I said, as you said earlier, the priorities we would have to define, and people don't even understand what's gospel song and what's Christian song, you know. So
Exactly.
we would have to
Exactly.
define. I personally didn't see nothing wrong with the Reverend Minister singing that song, because that song had no profanity. That song was educative. That song was informative. That song was empowering. That song was talking about somebody giving praise to God. So I didn't see where he went wrong. Is it because the singer of that song was not classified as a gospel musician? But that song, if anybody cares to know, is gospel. It might not be a Christ, it is not a Christian song, but it's a gospel song. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. But all we're
Mm-hmm.
saying is, musicians, please get involved in this campaign against the social ills going on in Ghana, the public lynching, taking innocent lives. It's getting crazy. Recently, we heard about people's manhood getting lost, and people were pouncing on people, beating them up, you know, all kinds of craziness. Human life is very, very valuable. It is important. We have to learn to respect the law. When somebody does something wrong, you are not the law. That is not your responsibility. That is not your role to play. If you get hold of the person, take the person to the appropriate areas where they can handle and administer justice. I was talking to somebody the other time about some of these police um, unfair interactions with Black people in America. And I was talking to this friend, I was like, look, there's no point in arguing with a police officer. He is going to do what he wants to do by giving you the ticket. But mind you, he's not the ultimate decision maker in whether you pay your ticket or not.
Yeah, you can go to court. You remember when you
Yes,
came to visit me in Pennsylvania and that
right,
policeman decided to,
right.
yeah,
You know, I could have died that night because it was like 2 a.m. and an angry state trooper, you know, I mean, anything could have happened, and he could have framed any story to 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 get away with it, you know. But I just told him, look, it's late and I'm not going to argue with you. Give me the ticket. We'll meet in court. So please, if you happen to see somebody even committing the act, it is not your responsibility to administer justice.
you
It is
you
somebody
remember
else's responsibility.
you remember why I was so adamant on the authorities creating uh an atmosphere and
Trust.
a condition of mutual respect and uh, belief that they will do the right thing. That was my reason. If the people don't believe, if the people don't trust you, it's going to be very difficult to, after all the education, after the police and our court systems can bring all that to nothing if the society do not trust they are going to do the right
Yeah, but to add to it, the education can cause a change in the
thing. It
atmosphere
will.
in the
It
system,
will cause a
because,
change.
like we said, if you don't trust the police, go through people you trust within your community, and those people are going to hold the police responsible. If you go through your DCO or DCEO or whatever they call them, they would definitely hold the police responsible, because if you don't do that, your people are going the people are going to lose trust in you, and guess what's going to happen?
We'll be back to square one.
Right.
And the fact that we don't sustain any campaign. I remember when this young lady lost her life because of bad rules. Somebody just go and dump something
Oh,
by the
Ebony.
roadside. Ebony. I remember the anger and how it was channeled, and after about a year, it just went to nothing.
But even that, people were spiritualizing it.
Well, hey, if that solved the problem, it's not an issue for me. But the point is, what have we learned? Are we building better roads? Are we? I mean, even among the musicians themselves, after the initial
We'll
hoorah,
build better roads when it's time for elections.
we have a long way to go now.
Or
And
maybe by
we,
elections.
yeah, we need to continue to interrogate all these issues because the country and the continent is for us, and we really need to
Your final
continue.
statements, because we almost.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. This ability to check out right after something happens and jump onto the next wagon, or this issue to trivialize something because it doesn't personally touch us. As a society, we need to get away from that because eventually it's going to touch you. And if the systems are not in place whereby I will always use the fire service as an example. You think somebody's house or somebody's vehicle is burning, and the fire service doesn't get there, or they get there and they have no water and it doesn't touch you. Believe me, one day it's going to touch you. And this issue of being each other's keeper, it does not just extend to just being physically present. Okay, we need as a society to build the kind of society that we would be proud of. Nobody else is coming to do it for us. Nobody else. And we need to sustain pressure on issues within our society if we actually want a change. Because the way we jump on things, and then you watch, something else is gonna come up within the next week, and everybody else will jump on it, and within 2 months it will die. And that is not going to build a society. It's going to be some haphazard way that there has to be constant reminders, and we have to do better as a people. Thank you, Nana.
Thank you so much. On that note, we had to do better as a people, and I like the bit of the priority as a nation. We need to set our priorities right. Please, please. We've spoken about the media, we've spoken about the drama groups and what have you, making movie out of some of these social issues, especially the public lynching. Um, and even the bloggers can also help
Thank
in
you.
sending,
Thank you.
educating the people, the skit makers, they can make little skits to educate the masses to understand their roles and responsibilities and some of these things. And finally, I want to plead with I'm a hip hop person, so man, my hip life guys, my hip hop guys, the
Yeah,
grandpapa, salute,
Afrobeat.
Sarkodie, um, whatchamacallit, Bravo, and all these people, please come together. Uh, for some reason, one of my favorite, Lord Kenya, is no longer in the
But
in the music business. So
Lord Kenya is considered an icon a lot more today than even when he was singing.
yeah,
And if
but I'm
and if
talking
he
about, I mean, the musicians coming
yeah,
together, the hip hop musicians.
if he gets in the pulpit, this is one of the things he should be talking
Yeah,
about. I
coming
remember
together.
Driver Susuko.
Right.
I remember this guy was socially very, very conscious,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
even if he's not the one making the music, he can be the brain behind it.
Right.
He commands a lot of respect,
Right.
and he can call these guys together and say, "Hey, you guys need to do something about this," and
Right.
it might happen.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So,
Yep. And then my girl Eno Baroni, please let's come together,
oh
make
yeah,
music
and
to
all the
foster.
young ones, all the young lyricists that are in the system today,
Right. Right.
we salute you too. We've seen
Yep.
what you're doing.
Yep.
Please start talking about not just this, but all the societal ills, because the young people listen to you more than
And
they
it's
might
not
even
only
listen to
just
their pastor.
music, talking
Yes.
about them when you go for interviews, talking about some of these things and making sure that we bring sanity to our community. Thank you so much
Oh
for
yeah.
your time with us. And this is Analyze This. Hopefully next week, same time, we're going to be here. We hope that you take good care of yourself. My name Nana Osei Bonsu Jr. and my co-pilot.
I'm Kojo Washington. We love you. Thanks for watching.
See you next week.